The Charlotte Ledger Podcast is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network.
Today's episode is presented by PBS Charlotte's Unspun program, helping you learn what politicians are thinking but not saying, hosted by former Governor Pat McCrory. Welcome to the Charlotte Ledger Podcast. I'm Ashley Fay, managing editor of the Charlotte Ledger. To find out more about the Charlotte Ledger, visit thecharlotteledger.com. I'm joined today by Brad Panovich, chief meteorologist at WCNC. Today, we're talking about what it's like forecasting the weather in the age of social media, what Panovich called the rooting for ruin phenomenon after Charlotte's ice storm this winter, how artificial intelligence is changing meteorology, and what Panovich panic buys at the grocery store ahead of a big storm. So I just wanted to start out. So, I know a lot of what I wanted to talk about today was around just kind of what it's like to be a meteorologist in the year 2026. I know, especially with social media, there's just a lot of people who are probably on social media talking about the weather. Yeah. How has your role as a meteorologist changed with especially social media?
I think the one thing that's been kind of cool is I was an early adopter on social media. Just for me, it was an outlet to talk about the weather outside of my normal broadcast times. And so I loved it. I embraced it right away. So I dove headfirst into it, probably around 2008, 2009. I think we had used Twitter during the 2008 election to communicate among reporters.
I remember that. Yeah.
It really wasn't to talk to the public. And it was a great outlet, which the great thing is a two-way communication source. But what's devolved into the last, 4 or 5 to 6 years is you just had anybody and everybody just posting whatever, which is fine. I if I had social media when I was 16 or 18 years old, I loved weather, I'd be posting stuff all the time too. But the problem is the public doesn't know how to discern between just somebody who's throwing out whatever for fun and a professional. And so there's this weird conflict of they weight the information the same, and it's not.
Yeah.
It'd be like going to a doctor in a hotel room. I'm I don't have a license. I'm just, sure, I'll do plastic surgery in the Motel 6 or whatever. That's what weather's become. It's I saw this online. Is this real? It's no, it's not. This is just somebody throwing stuff out there. So it's made my job incredibly difficult because now I'm fighting misinformation more than trying to get information out. And I probably spend half of my time now trying to calm people's fears down about a hurricane that's never going to come or a winter storm that isn't really going to happen. And it makes my job incredibly difficult. The forecasting part is the easiest part now.
Wow.
It's the communication that has become the most difficult.
That is fascinating. It's something we see in the news industry too. We see a lot of folks, whether they call themselves influencers or just folks on social media who, they have every right to kind of talk about the news, but at the same time, you want to make sure that they're getting accurate information and you want to make sure that it's from people who are professionals. So I get what you're saying in a lot of ways, just from a pure news perspective. Yeah. Do you feel like in some ways the brand aspect has become a more important part of your job? A lot of people know who you are.
Yeah. But honestly, because there's so much information out there, and I've been here now 23 years, that trust and credibility's been built up over time. And so I do appreciate when people are they see all this information, and I become this checks and balance kind of thing, hey, Brad, what are you saying? And I love that. So that's taken time to build up. And it's probably the biggest thing I have is the equity locally, that people trust me and they know I'm here. And even if they see some of this misinformation, they go, hey, Brad's having to tell me if it's real or not, and be the checks and balances. So that has been a big part of it. And then just having that human face and being somebody that somebody knows and not a bot or, an anonymous Facebook post or YouTube channel. That is really helpful. But that is probably the benefit of me being on social media early, was that I was able to establish some credibility that I haven't been able to carry into these wild times. How that is become.
Without you realizing, it became the OG weather influencer.
It's crazy because it's I've had friends, and you probably know, most people don't watch TV anymore. I've had neighbors that don't know me as a broadcast meteorologist. They're you're the weather guy from Twitter, or you're the weather guy from Instagram. They don't see me as a broadcaster. They just know me from those platforms, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of made me realize, that's why I'm so active on them still. It's because, that's their number one source the weatherman, they're not watching the 6 o'clock news.
Exactly.
They're going to scroll through their stories, and then my update in the morning is going to be where they're going to get their weather information. It's not going to be from the one. So if people are going to do that, at least I can be that person.
Yeah.
And I can fill that space that is basically, instead of one of these hobbyists who are just out there putting out whatever.
Are there a lot of those in Charlotte, as far as you know?
Not as many.
Okay.
Across other parts of the country there are. There's some people that do it nationally kind of, and they kind of cross over. There are a few, but most people would kind of learn like, hey, they know they're a hobbyist or they're doing it for fun. And their real niche is like, and this is probably where we fail, is they really get hyper local. Like, I'm only going to focus on one county. There's a weather guy just in Rowan County or Iredell County. And so they can get a little step up because they just only focus on there. So, so that locality of being locals that really enforce a lot of these guys.
Interesting. I wanted to, while we're talking about social media, I wanted to talk about your Facebook post after the ice storm in January, which I found to be very interesting. But just to quote it real quick, you said, our forecasts are getting objectively more accurate, yet the perception is that we, quote, blow it, quote, more often. You went on to say that you get into this weird state sometimes where people think I'm supposed to apologize because the infrastructure wasn't destroyed and you are without power for a week. And you even called it what I thought was great, the rooting for ruin phenomenon. Yeah. Can you just talk more about that, maybe especially in the context of this, ice storm that maybe wasn't as catastrophic as it could have been?
Yeah. It happens a lot. We initially started seeing this during severe weather. When we get severe weather, that's a common occurrence down here. People have this weird perception that, like, when there's a chance of tornadoes, I think they think there's going to be like a 300-mile wide tornado that's going to hit everybody. It's not. It's going to be specific areas. And this is just, I think, more of a reflection of society. It's like, if they don't see it, feel it, experience, it's like it didn't happen.
Okay.
And they have no concept of, like, this happened over there. It still happened. Just because it didn't happen to me doesn't mean it was a real event. And so I think this is something that happened with the ice storm. It's like, normally, winter storm, I love snow. I'll be honest, I love snow because I grew up in snow. It's my first love of weather was a big storm. But snow generally, like the second storm, is fun snow, right? It's like you play in it. Ice is like that horrible, right?
Yes.
That's like catastrophic damage, especially in a city like this. If we lose power for a couple of days, people would probably die because without power, you got medical devices, you got people trying to heat their homes, carbon monoxide fires, would have been really bad. So because the impact was could have been so perilous, we definitely played that storm up a lot more like, hey, you need to be ready for this. We want you to prepare for the worst, but we're going to hope for the best. And then when we only get a little bit of ice, we still had a nice storm. It just wasn't to the threshold that like Nashville got or Oxford, Mississippi. Those poor people without power for like 2 weeks. Could have been us. Thank goodness it wasn't us. But people then think, well, you blew the forecast. Well, did we? We kind of missed the ice by 1/10 of an inch. The threshold for us being like catastrophic enough, we forecasted an ice storm 7 days in advance, and we got an ice storm. We just didn't get 5/10. We got 3/10. When you think about those margins, it's like people are mad. We didn't get 2/10 more because I'm like, did you want there to be catastrophic destruction?
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand that didn't happen, but we still had an ice storm. It's like it still happened, right? It just wasn't as bad. So I think that gets lost on people. I don't know why they want it to be bad to verify what they thought was going to happen. In my mind, that's a forecast I love to blow. If there's a chance for a tornado and it doesn't happen, thank God, I'm happy. But I do want to get it right. And I want people to understand that, just because we didn't get a devastating ice storm doesn't mean that forecast was as wrong as many people thought. If I missed the rain forecast by 1/10 of an inch, nobody bats an eye because they don't count 1/10 of an inch of rain. But for ice and snow, it's like such a big deal.
And it's one of those things I'm sure you want to err on the side of caution, especially with something like ice, given that it can be so damaging and can knock your power out for weeks.
Yeah, that's a different animal. Like the snow forecast, while we want to get that right, we actually go pretty conservative on snow because we know 9 times out of 10, it's probably not going to be that much. And when you talk about snow, people just envision Hallmark movie snow. Yeah. They don't think an inch of snow and, this doesn't look like snow. It's like, well, this is what an inch of snow looks like. It's not that much.
Exactly.
But for ice, you're right. It's totally about that high-end threshold of what it could have been. This could have been. I would equate it to like a doctor saying, hey, we found something in a test. We're pretty sure it's nothing, but it could be cancer. for chance of being cancer is like 10%. You're still going to go get this checked out, right?
Right, yeah.
And if it's not cancer, you're like, good. It's like that we just got to be sure. But with weather, something to get mad because it wasn't cancer. It's like, why would you be mad about that? We just wanted to be safe because it could have been really bad.
Yeah. And then you hear everyone say like, oh, everyone's always predicting this and it's never going to be as bad as they predict, but then it could be. And you have to just be prepared for that.
Yeah. And weather's, we're still, I think it lost a lot of people. We're literally predicting the future.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that we get it right as much as we do is a minor miracle.
Yeah.
And people take that for granted. I think of, like the Galveston hurricane of 1900. There was thousands of people on Galveston Beach that didn't know a Category 4 hurricane was literally offshore, and thousands of people died. That never happens now. You are never going to get surprised by a hurricane. You shouldn't. We know about them days and sometimes weeks in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's really frustrating that we are so good at this, but people still have this perception like, you guys don't know what you're talking about.
Maybe they'll turn to one of the new weather influencers to get the real story. While we're talking about kind of forecasting in general, it's always been so interesting to me because it is such a science, data, and analytics kind of driven thing, but it still seems from a layperson, and I would count myself in that it's just a lot of it's an educated guessing game. I know there's a lot of science and I know there's a lot of things that go into predicting the weather, but why does it still feel like it's so difficult to say, for example, if we get a 1/4 inch of ice that could maybe make the roads treacherous versus an inch of ice that would be completely catastrophic? Like, why is that still such a tricky thing, especially for the average person to maybe understand better?
No, it's more about I always tell people, precision isn't the same as accuracy, right?
Yeah.
People were pretty accurate, but the precision is still not there. It's hard to be as precise as we want to be. And people live in a world where they like yes, no answers. And sometimes there's shades of gray.
Yeah.
And in weather, that's the way there's ranges of possibilities. Those ranges have narrowed as we've gotten better, but there's still a range. Mm-hmm. And so the difficult part is that you're still trying to model and forecast the whole atmosphere. We live down here at the surface, but I got to know what the weather is at 5,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 30,000 feet. And all these parts of the atmosphere aren't sampled. There's not weather stations on every square inch. There's only so many airplanes and weather balloons and satellites. We can't sample it all. So forecasting it is really difficult. It's still a big fluid system that is really difficult to forecast. We've gotten better, but I think some people expect us to be perfect.
Yeah.
And it's just not possible.
Yeah.
I always tell people we're about 24-hour forecasts. We're right about 94% of the time. It's a huge number.
Mm-hmm.
But remember too, we forecast 365 days a year. That still means about 22 days a year, you're not going to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's only 22 days, but if that's your weekend, your vacation, your wedding,
yeah,
it's a big deal.
it's going to feel like a big impact.
And you're only going to remember those days and not the 330 other days.
Yeah, exactly.
That we got it right.
How dare Brad ruin my wedding by not telling me it was going to rain.
And I think that's a lot of things. Like, it's like offensive lineman in football. Nobody notices anything until they mess up, or an official. Nobody notices anything about them until they screw up. And so that happens to us a lot. Like we got it right today. We got it right tomorrow. The day we miss it, they remember that. They don't remember the days we got it right.
This is so accurate. I think that's even true of journalism in a lot of ways. It's like you're focused on getting everything so accurate, and then the one time maybe you make a small mistake or you have a typo,
that's gonna dwell with
that's what people will remember. So I get what you're saying. We'll be right back to the conversation. Today's episode is presented by PBS Charlotte's Unspun program, discussing what politicians are thinking but not saying. I did want to talk about something that might be a bit of a trigger word for you, which is weather apps. I know a lot of people, they rely on the app that they got when they bought their phone.
Sure.
Is this a good thing to do? Is it ever good to rely on that?
I did a presentation Tuesday on this to a bunch of organizers that do festivals and outdoor events. And I did a whole thing on apps. I said, I have my pet peeves about the stock apps, like the ones that are preloaded. They're the worst ones. I told them, but I try to give them information to use apps better, right? Where does the information come from? How does it work? Should you download a separate app, pay for an app, which might have better information? And so I think that's the thing. We, as meteorologists, we hate the stock apps because their whole purpose is quantity, not quality. It's to serve as many forecasts to as many spots as possible, regardless of how good the information is. My concern is that people just think that information is the same as my information. It's like a fast food place versus a sit-down restaurant. They both serve food. One's super cheap and easy to get, but the quality is not the same.
Right.
People kind of get that, but for weather information, they don't. They think it's the same quality. And it's like, no, that app is good to check the current temperatures, a quick glance. But in general, if you have something important, you're probably not going to want to rely on that. Or severe weather in particular, because how can that communicate severe weather? The icon for a thunderstorm at 30% is the same icon you get for chase tornadoes. For, let's say, Hurricane Helene. It looks windy and rainy. How is that going to convey the threat that a hurricane like Helene is going to get keen? It's a computer, right?
Yeah.
So that's where my job comes in. The high impact events, we're going to do way better. Day to day, 80 and sunny, sure, the app's probably going to do fine.
Yeah. So it's good for sort of the broad brush, but when you, especially in maybe a severe weather situation, you're not going to get the right
information. You want
information.
Specific information, like you have a planned event where you're going golfing, and like, hey, I got to golf between 2 and 4. Are there going to be storms? I'm probably going to be better at that than the app. Just give me a general idea of what's happening. So I don't want to poop room altogether. So it's a great resource. I mean, if it keeps you watching the weather and checking, that's a great thing. I just want people to understand that the data isn't always better. You got to take a step up when you want better data, or you have severe weather coming in. You have to know. You probably want to talk to somebody else or get a veteran app.
Absolutely, yes. While we're on the subject of technology, I'm curious about whether AI is playing any role in meteorology.
Huge role. Because I spend probably most of my day looking at data, AI saves me a ton of work.
Really?
A lot of people think there's 1 or 2 weather models. There's really 55 weather models I look at. And I used to look at as much of it as I could. It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
AI will help me summarize, connect, and tell me what I should look at, what I shouldn't look at. So from that standpoint, it's a huge help. And in fact, we've used machine learning in meteorology for a long time. We've used it in modeling because there's just so much data to crunch that machine learning has sped up the process of running the guidance. So it's really it's a great tool. It really is for us. But generating forecasts, it's still not great at because it's relatively new. It's only been trained on a certain set of years of data. And because of that speed, it does sacrifice some aspects of getting the forecast right. So we found during hurricane season, it's done pretty good. Severe weather, not so much. Long range forecasting better than short range forecasting. So there's some drawbacks, but it is a huge time saver for us. It really is. I mean, just because the amount of numbers I have to look at.
100%.
I mean, I do it all the time. During the snowstorm, I was taking the 165 ensembles and I was using it to summarize and weight it based on local influences, what's the probability of 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, and it could do that in 10 seconds. I would spend
wow.
I would hand do this sometimes before we had AI to do that.
And do you feel like it's mostly accurate? I know there's a lot of concern about hallucinations.
You gotta check it.
Yeah.
The one thing it's really bad at is mapping.
Really?
So if you want to generate a map, like a snowfall map, using the data, it makes up towns, makes up cities, shapes the counties wrong in the state. So it's really bad at spatial stuff for some reason. It's really good at coding, really good at the math part. But then sometimes the writing sounds good, but it's nonsense.
I've noticed this.
It makes it sound really good, but
it doesn't say anything.
So it's very good at the art of looking good, but not really substance in there. So yeah, I try to stay away from that aspect of it and kind of stick to just coding and the math where it does a little better.
That's good. It's reassuring to me, at least, that it's getting a lot of that information right. Because most of my usage of AI has been the words.
To train on that stuff.
Yeah.
You can just dump databases of data.
Yeah.
The words and the language models are kind of tough because it's there's only so much and people talk differently.
Yeah, there's a lot more inference, I think, in talking.
Yeah, and some words mean multiple things. It's English language is hard.
It is.
We struggle with that. I can't imagine.
Oh, 100%. This is so accurate. Kind of in a similar vein of what we've been talking about, what do you think is most misunderstood about what you do, and what do you kind of wish more people knew?
I think it's the stuff that people don't see. When I'm doing a broadcast, and even if it's on social media, and now it's got shorter, you might see 30 seconds, 60 seconds. If you watch the newscast, maybe 3 minutes of weather. That's a very small amount of time. That's the easiest part of my job. The hardest part is all the forecasts.
Yeah.
It's so much math.
Yeah.
Most meteorology majors could have got a minor in calculus or mathematics because it's all physics-based, it's all calculus-based. And so that's a really hard part of our job. And the science part is really important to us. We probably are harder on ourselves than the public. We try to verify everything. Why do we look back and, sometimes I'll go back and post hey, here's what we forecast, this is what happened, this is why. Because the best way to get better at forecasting is learning from your mistakes.
Kind of auditing what you've done. Yeah.
You always have to do that. You got to learn what your bias are. Am I too cold? Am I too warm? So we probably self-check ourselves more than anybody realizes. And so I think that's a part of the job that people really don't understand. It's like, that is like 90% of my job. We build our own graphics. We don't have editors. I don't have a producer. I don't have scripts. Everything we do is ad lib. It's like people come to work and see what we do. And I'm like, they're like, who does the graphics? I'm like, I am. Who puts your mic on? Who does your makeup? I'm like, it's
All me.
Who does your social media? They have the social media person. I'm like, no, that's all me. I do this all myself.
Yeah.
So that's on my day. It's so crazy. It's just nonstop, like 50,000 things going on at the same time. But that's part of the job. You get used to. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying for sure. I did want to ask, I know this is kind of a broad question and it probably has a lot of different answers, but how do you see climate change affecting Charlotte especially?
Oh, man, it's really unique. So climate change is one of those things that doesn't affect every location. I think naturally people think, oh, it's getting warmer here. It is getting warmer here, but it's probably not our biggest impact. Our biggest impact is heavy rain. So one of the things about a warming climate is that you can get more intense rainfall events. And they're more extreme. So like right now we're in a drought.
Yeah.
This happens a lot. We'll get a drought, but when it does rain here, we used to get an inch or two of rain. Now it's 3 or 4 inches of rain. And in an area like Charlotte, we're kind of in this bad spot where we get a lot of flash flooding already. Climate change is contributing to that. And we're rapidly developing. We're urbanizing Mecklenburg County, and the impervious surfaces are increasing left and right.
Yep.
So we're already in a bad spot for flash flooding, but now you throw in climate change on top of it. I think flooding is going to be our biggest issue. Now, this year aside, snow was the other thing. And so this year, this was a big storm. It was a big storm regardless of year, but in the last 10 years, we didn't get that much snow combined. We used to average 4 inches of snow. Now we average 3.5 inches.
Oh, wow.
And we had the first 2 snowless winters on record just 2 years ago. So snowfall has become like a thing that doesn't happen here. And that's an easy one to put on climate change because the difference between snow and water is only like 1/10 of a degree. So even minor a rise in temperature is going to change most snow events into rain events now.
Interesting.
And not snow, because 32.1 is liquid, 32.0 is ice. So that's what I don't think people realize. Those small changes do have big impacts on our weather, but flooding would be our number one concern.
Makes a lot of sense.
And we've seen it already, a lot of events, these extreme high-end events. Like when I first got here in 2003, we had some minor flooding events, but now it's like we see these events where the amount of water we're getting out of some of these storms, it blows my mind. I haven't seen these. There's a parameter we call reciprocal water. It's basically take the whole atmosphere, you squeeze out the water, how much rainfall would you get? 1.5 inches, 2 inches is a big deal. I've seen so many now, 3.5 inch.
Oh, wow.
Which is like early in my career, you would never see that much.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is absolutely loaded with water. And so that's my concern. And people don't have flood insurance.
Yeah. You don't think you need it in Charlotte?
You don't, but I remember talking to the FEMA director. He was telling me, and you always say, he asked that question, do you need flood insurance? He goes, do you live where it rains? Says you need flood insurance.
Wow.
Because in Charlotte, a storm drain clogs in front of your house, you don't have to be anywhere near a creek or river. That storm drain clogs and that street, because they soak in water, it's all going to flood in your house. So to me, it's cheaper to get outside the floodplain. So it's probably worth a lot of people to get it. And your normal insurance won't cover flood damage.
Which I don't think a lot of people realize. They think, I have home insurance, I'm good. But
water coming from above, no, or below, from above, you will. If it runs through your roof, you'd rather have a hole in your roof and flood your house. You'll get covered.
Yeah. Coming
Coming up from underneath, nope.
And that's where the issues are.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I just want to do, and the pun is intended, a lightning round real quick. And then we'll kind of wrap things here. But it's meant to be fun, just whatever you can come up with kind of on the spot here. What memorable storm or weather event have you ever covered? Like, what's maybe the most memorable thing you've ever covered?
I would have said 2 years ago, I would have said Hurricane Katrina, but now it's Hurricane Helene.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's it was from covering it, during it, and after the recovery, and still to this day, going back to the mountains. I mean, go to Lake Lord, they're just filling up the lake for the first time since the storm. But definitely Hurricane Helene. It's just something that sticks with me. Because I lived here, I love the mountains. I love the people up there, and seeing the devastation firsthand, which is
absolutely crazy.
Definitely is the worst and the most memorable storm that I've ever covered.
Well, give us the forecast for Brad Panovich's perfect weather day.
Oh man, well now I would have said snow,
but maybe not right now.
No, I can't enjoy it as much. But for me, I love fall and spring. It's a great thing about Charlotte. October and April to me are like the two best because it's warm days and cool nights.
Yeah.
It's like I call it San Diego weather. It's like it's just great. You can go out during the day in shorts and t-shirt at night. You can be by a fire and have a sweatshirt on, and I love that. And I love golfing, so that time of year is just awesome for golf. If it was for the pollen in April, it would be just as good. But April and October have very similar weather because of those warm, sunny days and cool nights. So I love those 2 times a year.
What is your biggest weather-related pet peeve? It can be apps. I know we've already covered that, but what is it?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. I would think I think down here the one thing it's like, why do people believe in the groundhog so dang much?
Is that like different from when you grew up? Like that wasn't as big of a thing?
I mean, it was a big deal, but people like
Take it more seriously here?
now. And sometimes I think they're joking or it's just tongue in cheek, but I'm like, people are like pretty serious about the groundhog, and I'm like, it's just one of those things. I've got this little pet peeve with the groundhog. I call it the ground rat now because I can't deal with how much coverage it gets and how people like, people will literally like, oh man, it's gonna be a long winter or a short spring because the groundhog. I'm like, the groundhog? We're literally gonna believe the groundhog? It's like, so someone that does science, it's like, almost seems weird that people would buy it.
I love that that's your answer. I was not expecting that at all, but I didn't realize like how much people put stock into that movie. So that's fascinating.
I don't know what it is, but the other thing would have been heat lightning. Like,
okay, yeah,
no such thing as heat lightning. That's a big Southern thing, and I try to tell people all lightning comes from a thunderstorm. It's just so far away you can't hear it. Okay. But that's another thing. I was like, there's no such thing as heat lightning.
What is the strangest or most memorable viewer question you've ever gotten?
Oh man, I was just telling somebody the other day. I've been invited to so many people's weddings.
Really?
Like to just go.
Wow.
Like random people.
Like people you don't really know, just
like I got a wedding viewers. I'm like was out in Stanley County, and I was like, it sounds great, but I'm like, I have no idea, and I'm driving up to Stanley County. It's like, no way I'm doing this. So my wife is like, you're crazy. But yeah, sometimes weird stuff like that. You just get weird questions like, and I think it's cool. It's also kind of weird, but it's like you become part of people's
the fan of itches. Yeah.
It's like they just want you there. They like know who you are. And my kids will never get used to this. Just being somewhere and someone say, "Hey, Brad," and I go, "Do you know them?" I'm like, nope, no idea. They know me. I don't know them. So it's a really weird dynamic when people know your name, but you have no idea. You sometimes question yourself and you go, wait, did I meet this person? Should I go?
Oh, I've experienced that to a much smaller degree than you, and it's a bit of a...
Oh, no, they just know me from seeing me on TV or social media.
People feel like they know you, and you're like, I don't actually know you.
Yeah.
No. What do you panic by at the grocery store ahead of the big storm?
Oh, you'll laugh. Probably beer.
I think all of us do.
I was like, people get the most important things. I don't need toilet paper or eggs. I need beer. Because I'm going to work usually. I try to get snacks. I get Cheez-Its. Peanut butter. Stuff that I know I'm going to have at work, but honestly, probably would get beer.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer.
Because I know when I get home from work, a long day of covering the weather, I'm like, I'm going to need something.
I'm going to need to crack open a cold one. What's one thing you always make sure to keep in your house in the event of any kind of severe weather?
Oh, that's a good one. We actually, I actually practice what I preach. I have a lot of backup power sources. Like I just got solar, and one of the big things about getting solar is I have a power wall, but I also have these big battery banks that I use to keep everything running in case we lose power. And so that's something I have. And then for severe weather, my kids even know we have a closet designated for our tornado shelter. And I keep their kids' bike helmets and stuff in there for that. But battery backup, I'm a big proponent of having backup power supplies because we rely so heavily on these now.
Oh, yeah.
And so many other things. I think power is the one thing people take for granted until they lose it.
Oh, yes. I even was realizing that.
How much they need it.
Yeah.
So I am a big proponent of having backup power because it does become your main way of communication too, especially when it's Halloween. I mean, when we lose like cell service, and you have no way to communicate with somebody, that is to me really detrimental. So I actually bought a Starlink after Helene. I have a Starlink in my garage I keep just on standby in case we ever need it.
Wow. Final question. Do you have a favorite weather or climate related movie?
Ooh, I'm a die-hard Twister fan.
Really?
The original, the OG. It came out when I was in college. I went to the premiere. I still had Smile Time. So much of it's fake.
I was about to say, surely not for the accuracy.
No, but the new one was much better. They did a much better job with the Twisters, the new one. But I still love it because it glorified my career. That's what I did. So, and it
made meteorology cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It inspired a lot of meteorologists after that.
Oh, wow.
So, for that reason, it's still one of my all-time favorites.
Awesome. Great. I was hoping you would say that because I like that movie a lot,
yeah,
but I wasn't sure.
It's just, anytime it comes on in the spring and I hear Van Halen play,
You're like, I am locked in. I've got my beer. I've got my power supply. I'm
You're
watching.
going to watch it again.
Awesome. Well, Brad, that's really what I had. Any other final thoughts to share? Anything you wish Charlotte knew about what you did?
No, I said just buy it or get a different app. The Apple app is the worst. If that snowflake thing can go away on that, I'd be so much happier. But everyone uses it, unfortunately.
Everyone sees a snowflake and they're like, it's going to snow, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to snow.
That's it for today. Thanks for listening. For more information about the Charlotte Ledger, visit thecharlotteledger.com. This episode was produced by Lindsay Banks. Today's episode was presented by PBS Charlotte's Unspun program that tells you what politicians are often thinking but not saying.
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.